Alright guys, I was watching a video and it said something about how you don't want a man, this is a woman's perspective, maybe a guy thinks the same way about a girl, but or gay relationships or bi relationships or whatever, gender, whatever you are, right? But they said about hetero relationships, and this could be any relationship, not just hetero, but they said that you don't want a person that is using you to lift you out of a situation, right? So like what happens is the person will be in a position where they're not doing well, so they pick somebody that's that's not the ideal, whatever the ideal means, but not the ideal partner, and they have them help them out as much as they can while they're in school, while they're working, a lower paying job, while they're doing whatever, so that they can build their business or build their job situation or get their education and become something really big, right? And they were saying that this person, like a person, will have somebody there to be in the relationship with, so that they can build themselves up because they might not have the resources or the money or whatever. So they do that, and then they end up leaving that person for somebody quote unquote better because they built themselves up and got out of their bad situation with your help, let's say, as if you're that person, and with your help, and then they boost themselves out of that situation, and then they finally got somebody else because they were like, well, now I'm out of the situation, I don't need you anymore, let's say, right? So they don't want, that's what this girl was saying to prevent, right? Which, yes, I think that's terrible, right? Like nobody should have to be used to get out of a predicament. Nobody should have to be, second best to someone just because of a certain, maybe it's their looks or money or whatever, but they got out of their situation and they picked somebody better, right? But and all in all, I don't think it's necessarily something that you can predict, right? If you're being used completely and you're paying the person tons of cash and they're having affairs or picking somebody over you later on, that sucks. But it's not like, I just feel like, that girl meant well. I think she was just trying to warn people, She was saying because she experienced it, right? So she was kind of like the person that helped this guy out. He got better, and then he moved on to somebody he felt was better, quote unquote. And then, he got somebody better, and then, like, quote unquote, and then he wanted to, you know, leave her for somebody else, right? So for something better, let's say, quote unquote, right? So yeah, in some sense, yes, I understand that that's tough for sure. I don't think that girl said it to be mean. I think, well, no, she wasn't being mean. She was good. Like she was warning people because that's not cool to experience that, right? So she was telling people the right thing, I think. But not all relationships are the same, right? But for the most part, if you're being completely used, like she was, and then you have a person that leaves you for somebody else when you get them out of their predicament, that's not fair, right? So I agree with her in a lot of ways. But I just think, some relationships you really can't predict. And some people really don't mind being generous or helping out, and that's how they build their relationships and all that. I think, when it comes down to it, there is the possibility of your partner leaving you, right, when you get together with them, right? So you have to make sure that while you're with them, you don't make it harder, and you don't make it harder on you and think, oh, why did they leave? It's possible anyone can leave. So you have to just enjoy the relationship while you're in it, right? And she was saying, don't get used, right? Which makes sense, right? Nobody wants to be used, but I think all in all, while you're in the relationship, you see red flags, or you see something that's not giving you satisfaction in ways that you need your satisfaction, or you're giving the entire time and the person's just taking, I think that's where you draw the line, right? But if you're enjoying the relationship and all that, and it's a great relationship, the possibility that they could leave is there. But just try not to be used too much or feel like you are suffocating, or, nobody wants to be the person that somebody. So she makes a good point. Nobody wants to be the person that somebody just left because they felt like they wanted to do better, but they couldn't do better before, so they picked you. Nobody wants to be that person, right? But how can you really predict you're going to be that person? I mean, if it's obvious and you can tell you're that person, then you don't want to be that person. But the other thing too is like, some people are, they might pick somebody and they might be in a certain place, and then they get out of that place by exercising or dieting and moving on from drugs or alcohol or whatever, and then they get out of that situation, and then they want somebody that matches them more, and maybe you match them at that time, right? But I mean, all in all, she meant well. She's just trying to warn people, you don't want to be that person that's left behind for somebody just because you helped them out and now they're tossing you aside, right? It's embarrassing, right? Nobody wants to be that person, right? Anyway, thank you guys. Bye now.